When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was a stranger, you invited me in. When I needed clothes, you gave me something to wear. When I was alone, you took me in. Whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me.
Welcome to Change the Story, a podcast by Fostering Change Washington, where we bring real stories from those who know the child welfare system best, from children who've lived it to frontline workers, experts, and leaders fighting for change. Every day, innocent children are left suffering and abuse, their voices unheard, their lives at risk. This is more than a conversation. It's a call to action to stand for life and justice for those who cannot speak for themselves. Thank you for joining us. Now, let's change the story. Hey, Fostering Change. Welcome back to season 2 of Change the Story. I was just telling Travis here, our wonderful guest, that we really kind of left off on a cliffhanger. There was some podcasts we had recorded, and I just didn't feel like they were appropriate to put out at that time, considering the heaviness of everything we've been fighting for like children and safety. And it was a little bit off topic, so I kind of nixed it. So sorry about that. But we are back, and I am here with my friend Travis. Now, how do I pronounce your last name so I don't get it wrong?
Couture,
Couture. I was like, Couture?
Like coworker and tour duty.
Couture. Got it. I like that. I will not forget that again. So you have been, I would say, the lead in fighting your representative. Which district do you represent?
The 35th, which
Okay.
is all of Mason and parts of Kitsap and Thurston.
All right. Well, we're very thankful for you. You have been the hard hitter. You have been the catalyst that I really do believe has caused everyone in the house to go, what's going on with child welfare, right? You're the loudest. And I do appreciate that because we need somebody speaking up for kids.
Yeah, we can't have a timid voice when kids are dying in our streets and dying behind closed doors in their homes. We have a real drug crisis here in the state of Washington, and some of the first people, the most vulnerable, voiceless people harmed by that drug crisis are kids, and oftentimes 0 to 3 years old babies and toddlers. And if it's anything our state government can do, if it's anything voters can do, if it's anything well-calibrated adults could do, it's to stand up for these kids. And I can't think of many more important things to do in Olympia, to do in our state government, or for the people of my district, because this is not little pockets in Seattle and Spokane. This is all across our state. Every community is affected.
Oh.
And at the end of the day, everybody has a story to tell about a friend, a family member who has been stricken by this drug crisis. And sadly, especially over the last handful of years, more and more people are seeing this slow motion death in our streets. But the ones that we don't see on the King 5 news and on the local news or in our papers is what happens behind closed doors to innocent kids when their parents are abusing hard drugs like fentanyl, and it has to end.
So I'm not sure if you and I have had this conversation before, but what brought me back to Fostering Change was not just the actual physical move back to Washington, but I recruited a foster family. I don't even know how many years ago. She called me when I was living in Detroit and was like, hey, our baby that we had, since newborn got sent home, and the baby was starved, burned, raped, and ended up in our local hospital and died.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was absurd. Like, this is just a one-time thing. I was mortified. So I get on the phone. I called Tom Dent because he and I have worked together for many years. And I'm like, Tom, what the heck? Can you look into this? And he said, Jessica, this is happening all across Washington. Mm-hmm. So I just went down the rabbit hole. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Down Alice in Wonderland. And I was reading the death reports on the Ombuds report, and this is everywhere. And this was years ago. So now come up to speed. We have if I think Tracy from Keeping Kids Safe, she said this, if we were to think of the Sandy Hook shooting and to take all those classrooms and say we lost that many children in 1 year to this drug crisis, we would wake up. But like you said, it's slow and it's behind closed doors. So can we just unpack what the heck? Why are we not seeing this as like our number one issue? Because I think children, yes, you're in leadership and you're in government, but just as an adult, competent, just an adult, right? Why isn't this everyone's number one priority? So can you unpack that for me? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I think that, when I started this, along with Tom Dent and others, we both served on the Human Services Youth and Early Learning Committee, when I first got in 2023, and you don't know what you don't know. And I stumbled onto this issue because of a girl near my district, Oakley Carlson.
Oh, she was, okay.
And, not in my district, but near enough my district that a lot of people in my district absolutely cared about what happened there. And the more I dug into the Department of Children, Youth, and Families and their family reunification policies and all of the different things, how they were basically already practicing the Keeping Families Together Act at that time before it was supposed to be enacted that summer, right? You just start to pull together all the data, and it felt kind of lonely at that time that there were some people who knew it was a problem, but really it's not at the top of the list. It's not in the consciousness of lawmakers and other people. But as the deaths and the near fatalities continue to pile up and pile up and pile up, it becomes this thing that, every year since I've been able to build more and more and more support, and then more bipartisan support until this last session, I kind of threw all my chips in with you guys and Tracy and a bunch of others, right? A bunch of parents, because I'm frankly just sick and tired of opening up the fatality reports. I'm sick and tired of because I work in this issue, all the emails that I get from family members across the state who could not save their family members from completely preventable deaths. And this isn't even this is almost the tip of the iceberg of the issue that we're working on, just to be able to remove a child from a dangerous home. But there is so much more as you start to uncover those layers. NAS babies in hospitals. I went and fought for the Pediatric Interim Care Center actually here in Kent.
Yep.
That's been healing drug-addicted babies for 30 years that they ended the contract with no explanation whatsoever. That every governor, no matter left, right, and center, has been fighting to keep that PIC center open. So I started building more bipartisan support, and it was really soul-crushing. I tried everything that you could try and then some in this last session, and in our closest attempt, we lost by 3 votes out of 98. Which is depressing. It's sad. It made me sick to my stomach. I'm not a crier, but I went home and my wife was like, "Hey, you want to talk about it?" And I'm like, "Don't talk to me."
I just want to cry about it.
Don't talk to me. I'm just, seething for days and figuring out, where do I go from here? All right. What do we do next? Because I'm never giving up on it. But at the end of the day, this is an issue where this is not a left versus right issue. It's a right versus wrong issue. And people left, right, and center are starting to come together, but there is a powerful minority of the majority that has really have a stranglehold on this issue. They don't want to change. This is a sacred cow. They're willing to be blind to all of the facts and try to find ways to keep it going, even if they have to fake it till they make it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like when Fostering Change started in 2018, I believe what we witnessed there was the seed of this deception that has now grown into that sacred cow, let's say. When we first came to the table with child welfare things, we kept getting race politics. Okay. And a lot of what I'm seeing, and tell me if I'm wrong, please. What I've been seeing is a lot of these politicians they're willing to die on this, that taking children away or testing in the hospital is racist. And and that to me, I saw seeds of that, and people were not willing. If you say racism, boop, they're ready to run away. But this isn't, like you said, it's not it's not a left versus right. This is right and wrong. And we have children dying.
Yeah.
These drugs do not discriminate.
Right.
Right.
And because of one group's radical ideology and their absolute need to pursue that radical ideology, they don't think about the people who are harmed along the way. Fentanyl does not care what age you are.
Oh, no.
It doesn't care what your skin color is. It doesn't care what religion, race, creed, anything. It just wants to kill you.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I don't think most 99% of well-calibrated Washingtonians, especially ones with kids, would look into the streets of Seattle and Chinatown or Aurora or anywhere else and say, yeah, that is somebody who I would trust my child with. And it's ridiculous.
No, I laugh because it's absurd.
It is absurd, but yet the state government, on top of the abuse and neglect happening in tent cities or homes or whatever, and Lord, the human trafficking, the sex trafficking of these kids is another element to this as well. But the state government is charged where there is abuse and neglect to step in. That is the 14th Amendment rights of any child in our state or in our country. And we're violating their civil liberties. And at the end of the day, we're not actually making families whole. We're not reunifying families. There is no reunifying a family if the child is dead. And there is no reunifying a family if the mother or the father is addicted to fentanyl. If you can't care for, shelter, feed, bathe, clothe yourself, how could you do that for a child? I mean, we see these people in the fentanyl stoop. Right? Just leaned over. It's sad. And we've become a society that steps over people in extreme crisis and says, well, we'll just do housing first. We'll put you into a house all alone for you to die.
Well, we don't want to see it.
No, we don't want to see it. But, we'll just shuffle you away into a dark hole. Maybe we'll lower some very pointless services for billions of dollars that actually just increases the amount of homelessness, increases the amount of drug-related deaths, and we have more critical incidents for kids as a result of it. We're not getting any results for the investment because we're not having the right policies behind the investment.
You're right. We're not having the right policies, but I also think that we need to start, I was deep diving into different things. I think we need to really go back and look at the brain. Okay. And if we can start making policies thinking about the brain on drugs, trauma, we have all the ACEs, right? The adverse childhood experiences, which tons of people on the streets, they've had that, or they just have made one bad choice that has, dominoes have fallen. If we look at the brain and we start saying, okay, how do we reverse this? Well, putting them behind a door to be alone is not the answer. The only thing that is really working is when there is relation. So I'm a Christian and,
me too.
Okay. High five. Thank you. Go Jesus. And, but we are made to be in community. That is how we are wired. And so until we reach out, and again, do I think it's the government's job to reach out? No, it's the church's job. Now, would I like the funding and the government to get behind the church and be like, hey, let's, we want whole people. They don't want whole people. I swear this government here in Washington State, okay, a lot of governments like this, but I think we're in the death business, honestly. I mean, we see it with drugs. We see it with abortions. We see it with not testing babies for drugs in the hospital, because if they go home addicted, the likelihood of them just randomly dying goes up. I just think Washington State's in the death business. Okay, that's my little thought there. But until we can reach out and have relationship and say, hey, I got you. I have your back. We're not making any progress.
Well, let's talk about what that whole concept, that theme of whether you're a Christian or some other, person that believes in some other higher power.
Okay.
We generally, all of us, even an atheist, would say we need to have care and compassion for the less fortunate. I think that is a kind of a maxim of people in our state and in our country. We are the most generous country on earth, period, in all of human history. the most charity, the most caring, regardless of what people say or think. That is not a feeling or a gut feeling from me. That is a statistic. What we're doing right now is not care and compassion for our fellow man. It is not care and compassion to put them in a house all alone. It is not care and compassion to give them services that don't do anything. It is not care and compassion to not put people who break the law into jail. It is not care and compassion to not take kids from dangerous situations that we reasonably know will harm them or kill them. And we've become a society that says what it means to be care and compassionate is to give you the tools of your own demise. We're going to give you free needles. We're going to give you foils.
Yes.
We're going to give you all of these things.
We're death dealers. I'm telling you, Washington State is a death dealer.
And we, I mean, some of the subcommittees here for, Washington State, that have to do with drugs, they're already looking at, like, can Washington State sell the fentanyl? That's a real thing that's happening right now. I mean, that was an actual recommendation to the legislature. It is nuts. These things are not care and compassion. None of these things are. And if you want to have care and compassion for the homeless or the less fortunate or the hungry, you almost got to do the opposite of what we're doing. Sometimes that means tough love. Sometimes that means investing in things that actually move the needle.
Mm-hmm.
But also having the common sense to know that when you see the data and you've tried something, let's say the Keeping Families Together Act, once you've tried it and then you've got the data back that says absolutely no expert agrees this is working. Now it's time to go adjust to that thing.
Yes.
But when you bitter cling to the ideology after the ideology has failed, now you're just failing the people you're supposed to serve.
Well, I'm pretty sure when you try something and it doesn't work and you try it again, isn't that the definition of stupidity?
And insanity.
I know some of our viewers, including your wife, who had you called to make sure I was okay. I was so excited that a representative, can I say their name? Well, if you go back to our feed, you'll definitely see it. But a representative that was the author of the Keeping Kids Together Act, Keeping Families Together, sorry. And I was so excited that she agreed to meet with me.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up spending the whole day there waiting for her, and then she never showed up. I was livid because I sacrificed an event with my seniors to go to, and I was livid because I was robbed from that event. Okay, that's nothing compared to what families are being robbed with. But what we're missing, I think, is the insanity portion of there's a small few of the extreme leftists that we're missing the traditional, hey, let's sit. Let's just talk about this. There is nothing wrong with saying, I thought this was a good idea. We see the data. It wasn't a good idea. Let's just make an adjustment. Let's try something different. Like we said, you're clinging to it. I don't understand. Why are you clinging to this?
It's confirmation bias. I mean, if you're always looking for ways to confirm your own bias, you will never actually pull the mask off to see the truth. And I think that there will always be people not willing to pull the mask off to see the truth. The game isn't, can we convince the people who are the bitter clingers? The game is, how do we convince the rest of us who are common sense, reasonable people, to then be that silent majority that isn't silent anymore?
Right. We cannot be silent anymore. I think you said after legislation was over, you just, went home and were crying, right? And I remember you calling me actually and being like we failed. And at that moment in time, I do have to say, yes, I was sad. Actually, our whole Fostering Change team was devastated, but I went a prayer and I actually felt hope.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I don't think hope or anything should come. I don't think hope should ever come from the government, right?
Absolutely.
So I wasn't hopeful at all that any help was coming from the government, right? No offense. I know that's what you've invested your life in.
No, one of the things that I say all the time is I don't put my hope in man or government. I put my hope in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And whether you subscribe to that belief or not, we should always be have a healthy skepticism of government and politicians, including myself, right?
I do. I mean, I've seen these glasses of yours. What, your X-Men glasses? I'm afraid if you take them off, I might incinerate. Yeah.
No, I think it, sometimes they strike fear into the enemy, but really they're just blue light blockers. But
they're really cool.
I mean, it is important, I think, to kind of underscore the fact that government is this Titanic. You don't turn it overnight. And earlier I described this, 3-4 year process I've been in, and every year I get a little bit closer, and I was telling somebody, it's like watching hair grow. You don't notice it every day, but you notice it 8 months later, right? And so it is a struggle. It's a pain, especially when you're kind of in the voice of the minority right now. I mean, our issue is a 90-10 issue, right? Helping kids, helping drug addicted families, whatever it may be, helping drug addicted babies. This is a 90-10 issue where 90% of the public is with us. The media is with us.
Sorry, you guys say it again. 90% is with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Correct.
And it's just the people in charge, the smaller group in charge of the majority party in Olympia is not aligned with the public, right? And they sadly control the strings here. But that day could change, especially coming within 3 votes in the last session. It's only a matter of time. And I would say about failure is just a prologue to winning. Right? It's only truly a failure if you give up.
That's right.
And you got to dust yourself off and pick yourself back up. And we did that after the legislative session. We gave ourselves a little time to lament and cry ourselves to sleep over that. But you got to pick yourself up and find a new way to try to convince people, to try to bring people to the table. And I don't want to just all of my Republican colleagues support me in this. That's not who I'm focused on. I'm focused on how do I get Democrats to the table? I'm focusing on how do I get, independents to the table here, and common sense people, those families, how do I give them a voice? Because I think the number one job of any representative is you can't ever, promises in politics are cheap. Right. And no one really buys them when you say them anyway. The only thing I've ever promised my constituents is that I'm going to fight my ass off for you every single day. And then I'm going to make you proud that you voted for me. That's the only 2 promises I ever make. And those are the only 2 promises I think about every single day. So I never promise success, but I promise I'm going to never give up. I'm going to go fight for it. And I'm going to go fight for the right things.
Yes. And what's really cool is I've seen you do that. It's been really inspiring. I remember when I first moved back to Washington, I was really like I said, I deep dove into all the death, and I was like, what do we need to do? And at that point, there was like nothing. I was like, there's nothing until Washington State gets a belly of blood. There's nothing. But I feel like we're there. I feel like there's a belly of blood of children on the hands of all of us who live in Washington. We have to stand up and speak up. So what do we do just as somebody who's not in government? What do we do?
Yeah, you have just as much power as me.
Okay, well,
that's the number one thing to understand.
So let's unpack that for our listeners. So we have kids dying in record number. We have, if CPS does get involved, we go home with safety plans like, hey, you're going to lock your drugs up. Now Dad, you can do drugs during the day. So Mom's in charge. And Mom, you can do drugs at night.
Insane.
Yeah, these insane plans. Or I witnessed this because I want to see things for myself, right? I went down to a homeless encampment, and it's really doing great things. I'm just going to say that. But there was a mom there, and she had a baby, probably 4 or 5 months in a stroller, and then a 2-year-old, and then a 3-year-old. And they literally had a rope pulling all of their belongings. And I was there to serve dinner, and she was frazzled. I helped her get the dinner, but I'm thinking, this is not kind. This is not compassionate.
Right.
This is a homeless encampment. This is not okay. She's frazzled. She needs help. Okay. So now that we know the problem, so what do we do as Washingtonians? So let's talk about just with government. What do we do? Because I have other thoughts, but.
Yeah. Soon, myself and others will be launching a project to essentially bypass Olympia and go straight to cities and counties, the local governments. And there's been some recent success there. We've been kind of, behind closed doors lobbying for some changes at the local level. And in Washington state, the local level, your cities and counties have broader authority than you might think in this subject. And so we saw Snohomish County criminalize endangerment of a child with a substance.
Okay.
We saw Pierce County do that same thing. We saw Bonnie Lake, city of Yakima, Marysville just did it as of like a few days ago. And so we're building momentum. I've got a handful of other counties. We're going to be launching I don't want to call it a campaign, but a project.
Okay.
Right. We're going to be launching a project that has a bipartisan coalition of state legislators and other elected officials at the city and county levels to really push forward. And we're going to hopefully use that momentum going into the next session, because that's a great step forward to add those laws. But there is probably 900 more things to do in this space if you really dig into it.
Right.
And so
it's a first step, though.
It is a first step, and we need to build that momentum, and we need to do and I say this for myself too. I need to do a better job of delegating and giving people those tasks to do. There's a lot of people who want to help. They don't know how.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the hardest questions to answer is, how do I help you? It sounds so easy, but it's probably one of the hardest things. But we're going to be developing, myself, Representative Josh Penner, we've developed this list of things that people can easily do, and it just depends on what level of involvement they want. But I don't care if you just want to, make a post on Facebook, or if you want to go the whole 9 yards, we want you involved, right? We want you to be able to respectfully interface with your elected officials, whether they be Republicans, Democrats, or whatever they may be, to lobby for changes, because ultimately, it's not just me fighting for kids on the House floor that is going to move the needle. What's going to move the needle are these families that have been affected, or these people who have lived through this experience and came out the other end and survived it, and maybe did get their kids back, because I would say we are for family reunification.
Oh, absolutely.
We are for offering services to people who are addicted to drugs. We can save their lives. We just want them to do it when it's safe. We want them to reunite with their kids when it is safe to do so. We want common sense. We want what's best for the child first and everything else second. And we could save those parents too.
Yeah.
I mean, addiction can be cured. It can be stopped. And we've seen people like my friend Jenny Burton, who has now made a career out of helping others based on her story. And if you want to know what that true servant leadership looks like from someone who's not elected, look at my friend Andrea Suarez in Seattle for We Heart Seattle. She's not elected to anything. She didn't ask for permission. She just goes out and helps people effectively every single day, cleans up the encampments, the trash, and gets people to the help that will actually move the needle for them.
Yeah.
And let's also be honest about addiction. You don't get to solve this in a day.
No.
And you will fail probably multiple times before you succeed, but we got to keep trying with these people. And unfortunately, the drugs are so powerful now.
I know.
The meth is coming back.
Oh, I was just going to say that my husband's a doctor, and he said that meth is on the rise again.
Or meth laced with fentanyl.
Oh.
I mean, it's just terrible. The DEA sees it every day. And lawmakers laugh, well, meth's not a thing anymore. No, absolutely it is.
Meth is an easy thing, right? Because you can make it very easily in your kitchen. Most of my first batch of children that I've adopted, they were all meth affected. And that was like the drug of choice at that time. But yeah, it saddens me. But you're right. We have to keep trying. So I want to go back just a little bit. So you're putting together this project. So I'm from Kittitas County. I'm a citizen there. Who do I contact to say, hey, I want us as Kittitas County, I want us to outlaw Like, who do I contact? So I'm just
Yeah.
saying this for somebody who's in a random county and they're like, hey, I want this for our county. What do they do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's the question we are trying to answer with this this web portal we're putting out there, because what do I do? This thing will lead you to a choose your own adventure of
I love
whatever you want to do, but every one of it is helpful in its own way. Local governments can do ordinances. They can do proclamations and resolutions.
Okay.
They're not always the same level, but all of which are helpful. Ordinance would be the best. Your city has to do it separately from your county. So what we've done is we're going to be putting model policy ordinances for both cities and counties. You could print these things off, bring it to your city council member, bring it to your county commissioner and say, hey, this is what we really want you to put on the agenda so that we can have a discussion at the county or city council meeting. And then if everyone agrees, put it to a vote. And everywhere we've seen this put to a vote, bipartisan, people on even the far left and the right have come together and unanimously passed these. And then we're going to say, here's how you can send a letter. Here's a draft letter to your representative or whoever it is. And we're going to build that information. And we have actually, Josh is brilliant about this. He put together an interactive map of all the counties and color coded them to are they in progress? Have they done it yet?
Genius.
Have they not done it?
Okay. When are we seeing this? When is this coming out?
We're working on it now. I mean, it's tough during the election season, but I mean, be on the lookout. You will not be able to miss it.
As soon as it comes out, you need to send it to us because we're going to get it out to all our people, because that is one of the things is we have people, what do we do? How do we protect kids? And so then I also have to put my plug in. I know I introduced you to Sherry Mott when we were down in Olympia. But Sherry, she runs Safe Families out of Wenatchee area. It's Central Washington Safe Families.
God bless her. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, good news. So here's an update on that. Okay, the spoiler alert, because I'm going to have another update later. But we have another lady that has stepped up in Yakima County that is helping. So now Safe Families has moved into 2 more counties. So that I see as what I love about you is you're like, hey, things weren't working this way. We're going to re-strategize. And so when we first started, we were all passionate about foster care and passionate about raising up good foster families, which we still need good foster families.
Absolutely.
But we're kind of going, okay, if we can get safe families to really prosper across Washington state, we can partner this with this whole crisis we have on the drug crisis. When families need treatment, Safe Families can be a safe family to take care of kids and wraparound families, because we really do need that relationship. And so it's almost like it's ran through churches, and it's like you get an assignment, right? It's like, here's the mission field right here. And we're really excited. We have our first case in Kittitas County. I shouldn't say case, like a first family. We're super excited to serve this family. They just need wraparound. They just need some love and some support. And again, it's the same thing. We don't want to put homeless people behind a door by themselves, right? Because we know how that ends. Same thing with parents and families. We need wraparound. I need wraparound. I mean, you have kids. I'm sure you have a community that helps you.
I'm a Republican in Olympia. I always need wraparound.
I'm sure your wife does.
Right.
You get to go home every night, which is nice.
Yeah, just close enough to go home.
Well, she's blessed that you're close enough to go home, because I would be so sad without my husband for that long a time. But okay, well, I feel like we hit a ton of topics. Is there anything that you feel like you would really like to say before we're done? Is there anything else that we did not cover?
Some people have asked me why is this so personal to you? Right. And it is personal. I mean, one, I think we should all take it personally. And as a legislator, even though I don't agree with what's been going on, I've been trying to fix it. I take upon my portion of responsibility for what happens to these kids and these families. And even just people who don't have kids or families that are, dying on our streets. And
they're somebody's kid.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
They're somebody's kid.
Somebody's brother, sister, mother, father. Right. And I grew up in the 90s and in North Dakota where meth was big. Right. Small town, nothing to do. Get into drugs. It's a story as old as time, right? And, there was too many members of my family that fell to methamphetamine. I watched my cousins brutalized by it.
Yeah.
And that put a mark on me and in my heart. And sometimes you don't know. Like when I got elected, there was 100 things I wanted to work on, right? And I work on other things too, budgets and whatever else. But this came kind of roaring back into my heart when I saw what was going on, and I couldn't let it go. And nor should we let it go.
Mm-mm.
Right. And I just want people to have hope that that there are still things we can do, and there's still ways for people to show up. And that's what we need right now. We're in a position right now where my side of the aisle could potentially lose up to 6 to 8 seats coming in November. And the number one reason for that is people who want common sense in a host of areas, or who want even fixes to this, need to be able to show up to vote.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't show up to vote, we can't save these kids. If you don't show up to vote, we can't take the radical ideologues and kick them out of office. We need people who serve the people of Washington, not serve themselves. And at the end of the day, I never like to make this about campaigns or politics, right? Because it's ultimately about a child's life, or the safety of a family.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be left versus right. And it doesn't have to be, because there's actually good people on both sides who do want to fix this, who do want to see something change. And right now, we need people who want change to show up. And as I'm sure you've seen, there's just a lot of people fleeing our state for many different reasons, whether it's the cost of living or the taxes or things like this.
Crime,
yeah. Their kids' schools.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons, and they're just piecing out, right? But there's still a lot of us left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot give up on ourselves. We can't give up on these families, these kids, on common sense, on good policy, on good governance that is the servant and not the master, right? And so I think that's an important message, especially right now, as we go the next 85 days up until November, that there needs to be a referendum against people who are on the fringe, who are on the extremes in our state government. And there's a lot of them.
Yes. And they need to peace out.
Right.
Right. Like, yeah. This made me think what I love, and I'm definitely, it comes across is like, you're so passionate about the state and you're passionate about kids, but your passion, I've heard a little rumor that you are giving people PTSD, talking about all the death with all the kids. And thank you for that, because the people who don't want to hear it about all these kids dying are the ones that need to hear it, because they're clinging to their ideology.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it really frustrates me. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, oh, you're sitting in your little wherever, your office in Olympia, and you're getting PTSD because one person is bringing this huge problem to the table. Like, we're having PTSD. These are our families. I met grandparents that lost their grandchildren. So I've adopted children, and I have close relationships with the birth families, and watching their friends die of fentanyl, their friends' kids die of fentanyl. I'm like, this is affecting all of us. These crazy people that are in Olympia that don't want to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
That infuriates me.
Right.
That infuriates me. Like, where do you live that this is not affecting you?
In today's society, if you asked somebody, should you make enemies? They would say, oh, of course not. We should all be friends.
I'm like,
yep. But I would contest to people that you do have to actually make a few enemies. I was reminded about Margaret Thatcher, and she has a poem from a Chartist poet. He maybe wasn't always a Chartist, but it's Charles Mackay.
Okay.
And it's her favorite poem, and it's my favorite too, and it's called Enemies.
All right.
And it's talking about essentially how if you haven't made enemies, then you haven't done anything of consequence.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes, especially in politics, you got to break a few eggs to make an
cake.
omelet.
Oh, an omelet. Right. Oh.
And
I I love
exactly. And so I think the point of it is that, hey, for the right reasons, you go and you have to make some enemies or else you did nothing of consequence. You push no cut from perjured lip, right? You were a coward in the fight. And so
Yes.
you can't be a coward in the fight. You got to make a few enemies, and for the right reasons. And if I got to make a few enemies to gain a lot of friends to go save kids, then sign me up. I'll do it every single day of the week.
Yes.
And that's kind of my modus operandi as I go through the legislature. I do what I have a sense of justice, and I do what I think is right for people, regardless of what the parties say. Yeah. And, and luckily I got a lot of people coming to our side on this, and we just need to keep the foot on the gas. We need to keep the foot on the gas, and it's okay to make a few enemies to make a lot more friends, right? Mm-hmm. If you're doing it for the right reasons.
To keep people alive.
Or that, right?
I mean, we're dealing with higher stakes. It's like, it's life and death.
Yeah, exactly. And, and I think it's really important to know that you can't lose the hope. Don't put your hope in the government or in a politician. Put your hope in what you're trying to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, the salvation is when we're in heaven, but we still got to live here on earth.
Absolutely. Well, and I want to say we shouldn't put our hope in government, but it doesn't mean we do this and walk away. Mm-hmm. Like, we have to hit this two sides, right? So we still have to keep like one ear, what's going on in Olympia. I have a friend, Brian Noble, and he has the Defender app, and that's something you can download, and it really brings people together. And he's working on getting huddles. But for instance, for me, just, as a constituent, I can go and I can click the things that matter to me. Mm-hmm. And this app will alert me when there's, a bill, there's something on the table that I should know about. Right. I can write my, my legislators. It gets me activated, right? Mm-hmm. So that's something we can do, but keep our ear in what's going on with government so we can be active. As we're trying to keep one hand in government, we need to have two hands in our community. Right. Right. So whatever's going on in our community, we need to be serving our community, because it's going to take top up, bottom down. Yeah. Bottom up, top down.
build up your churches. Yes. Build up your charities, your nonprofits who are performing well and doing good things, and build up your other. It could be your chamber of commerce. Mm-hmm. For all I know, everyone has a stake in this. Right? Because the cost of a human life is immeasurable, and all the lost opportunity and everything else, you just can't calculate it. But nobody wants that stain in their community, right? And we all have the power to do something about it, and we can't be so paralyzed and numb when they come up that we're like, oh, that's sad, and move on with life. No, we do have to take the 5 minutes, the 10 minutes to figure out what we can do about some of this stuff, or else it will keep happening. One of the easiest things you can do is turn in your ballot. That's number one.
I know. So easy.
But at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. You got to keep two hands in the community. And I would say, maybe I'll role reverse and ask you a question. When you came to Olympia, what was the biggest disappointment and the biggest pleasant surprise?
Okay. So the biggest disappointment, well, there's been a handful of disappointments, right? One thing that disappointed me the absolute most is the Democrats. Like, we've worked with them in the past, and they traditionally have been the ones that have cared about the children and all this, right? And Republicans have been more like fiscally responsible. This is just a generalization, okay? Mm-hmm. The facts that we were so welcomed by the Republicans, like literally walking into the wing and like, oh, hi, you want to head? Oh, here's their office, this office. I wanted to go see some Democrats. I had to go and like pretty much be pat searched, right? Go through
security.
And I'm like, what the heck? They made it so hard for a constituent to meet them. Mm-hmm. It was like they were trying so hard to not have to talk to their constituents.
And on the one occasion didn't show up to your meeting.
Oh my goodness. That was really disappointing. So that was disappointing. The other thing was I really, really thought more people would show up to the rally. what was really encouraging, and actually you started the flow of people. So we're gathering on the steps, right, for the rally, and you show up. And I can't remember, and Josh showed up, Chris Corey showed up, Tom Dent came, and just all of a sudden, it was like a flood of representatives. They were all Republicans. And the show of force was so, like, it moved us so much to the point of tears. So I appreciate that. But the sad part was I don't understand why across the aisle they couldn't show up.
Yeah, it was funny. Right moments before we showed up, there was a couple of Democrats who wanted to show up. And, but, they're afraid of people in their caucus, and we can criticize that or not. But at the end of the day, that's the culture that they've built over there is you're afraid of the radicals in the House Democrat caucus. And so some of those Democrats did attend the rally, but they were far up and away off of the steps watching. And they did vote with us later, some of those people, when votes came up on the floor. But we do need to create that space, and where it's sad that they can't go advocate for a common sense issue that affects their constituents as well, because of the fear of reprisal and backlash in their caucus. And even some of the people who felt like they have to give their caucus a win on the budget. I had Josh Penner do an amendment to basically implement my bill, House Bill 1092. That was the most gut-wrenching floor debate I've ever been a part of in my entire life. And that failed by 3 votes out of 98. That is damn close.
Yeah.
And I think there was a lot of Democrats who voted no, that came up to me afterwards who were like, you're right, though. But they got to let their caucus win.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem. When kids' lives are on the line, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
And I was not in the mood to hear apologies like that at the time. They did everything they could to kill every bill about child welfare before it got to the floor. And the only opportunity was the budget, which they can't kill the budget.
No.
Right? No. So we did that. And then I did the 8th order motions, which they can't kill those either, although they voted them down.
I know.
But every other opportunity, the speaker said, no more. We're not even going to allow these to the floor. And the speaker wanted me to stop talking about it. And I'm like, I'll never stop. I'll just do more of it. At the end, because it's like, this isn't about like allowing you to save face for doing the wrong thing. I don't care about that.
No.
I care about let's do the right thing, and then you could save face. You can recover.
I just want to say, read the death reports.
Yeah.
And see these children, see these beautiful creatures that are just made in God's image. Okay, they might not see it like
Oakley
that.
Carlson, Ariel Garcia, baby Otis in Jefferson County, Raleigh, the little girl in Kennewick. I mean, and some of them have initials. There was a little baby in Spokane bludgeoned in the head by a hammer. Yep. I mean, it is terrible stuff. And I mean, I get it. Some people I just can't read it, Travis. And I'm like, good, you don't have to. I already did. If you know it's so bad. But the problem I've always had is that the DCYF and the state government and not all, I won't say all or even a lot, but there's some legislators who open up these fatality reports, and it's like another government statistic, another redacted black line in a government report. Like, these were actual human beings.
So, Travis, I'm just curious. I know after session, we were just devastated, right? And one of our questions was, are these elected officials, are they representing us, or are they more loyal to their ideologies or just their caucus? Like, that we just felt like we have these bills that come, into committee, and the speaker won't even allow them onto the floor to be heard. They're just like killing them in committee. And we're going, what? Like, how are you keeping this? Like, this is what the people want. So what is your perspective on that?
Yeah. I mean, not to make light of it, but it's kind of crazy that you have all these problems, this catalog of crises in Washington, and we're bringing bills up like octopus farming, right, on the House floor, which is not even a real thing in Washington.
That made it to the floor, but
it passed. It became law. And so, or things like changing our state flag to get rid of George Washington.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh,
you name
racist.
it, right?
Oh
And so anyways, I think that's kind of why I talked about a little bit what I view my job as a representative. It is to make sure that your voice gets carried forward into Olympia. I can't always promise some kind of success or that we're going to do pass a bill or whatever happens. But the number one, bullet point to the job is to represent people, to represent your constituents, to make sure that their voice is heard and elevated in the state legislature. And frankly, right now, I think there is a vast difference where maybe there wasn't always between the two caucuses in the House, I will say, where, the Republican caucus is fiercely independent. And I feel perfectly fine telling people that in our caucus, we bring up the bill. We give you it's briefed. We have the pros and the cons of the bill. We read through the bill. We draft amendments if necessary. But people in the House Republican caucus are free, absolutely free to vote their district, to vote their conscience, what is best for their constituents. And we never criticize each other for it. Now, oftentimes we're on the same side, especially on the bigger things. So it's not, that doesn't have to be asked, but my seatmate, Dan Griffey, is our whip. He's supposed to, whip the votes, but I'll tell you, there is no vote whipping in our caucus. And as a matter of fact, many Democrats who feel outcasted, moderate Democrats who feel outcasted by their caucus being so radical in Olympia.
We've heard that.
They come to our caucus for advice and relief and help and sometimes just to have dinner with us, sometimes just to hang out. That does not happen the opposite way. The Republicans are not invited to the Democrat caucus. No one is going to the Democrat caucus to seek sanctuary from the Republican side. And it's the other way around. And you're right. The majority party chairs in the committees have immense power.
Right.
And the speaker has immense power to decide what is going to happen and what won't. And at the end of the day, the question is, are they representing their caucus and their party, or are they representing their constituents? I think every year that goes by and the bitter clutch to power from that caucus in Olympia is just proving that they aren't listening to people. You got to go through security just to get a meeting. I mean, our caucus has no security. You are free to walk through the door. That's why I asked the question about what you liked and didn't like. Because what I'm listening for is, how do I better serve you? How do I solve those things? How do I make sure your voice is heard? Any citizen of Washington should be able to walk into the Capitol, find their representative, and have a few minutes to bend their ear about an issue that's important to them. If you don't have that, you don't have good government. Government is a system of inputs and outputs, and you don't get the right outputs if you don't get any inputs at all.
So, okay, I don't know if you can answer this question, but who would you say, let's just say county-wise or district-wise, who are the people that are bitterly clutching this ideology that need to be gone?
As far as the Keeping Families Together Act, obviously it's the original author, prime sponsor of the bill, the politician who passed the bill, and that's Representative Lillian Ortiz Self.
Yes.
I have very much tried over the years to try to work with her, but we are on so different opposite ends of the spectrum to the point I don't believe I'm being listened to at all. We did have a few meetings this last session, but the speaker was in there. Rep. Jamila Taylor was with her. They were arguing against me about the data, saying that there is the data that we're bringing up about the critical incidents is not true. But it absolutely is. I mean, that's clear. Like, multiple organizations will show you, even DCYF. But it's actually less about Lillian and more about everyone else. I mean, Lillian is one person. She is in their leadership. She is listened to by the more fringe members of her caucus on this issue. But that is fading away. And I think that aside from her, who you will not convince, and maybe Rep. Jamila Taylor, who you will not convince on this issue. I personally think the speaker agrees with me on this issue, but is afraid of upsetting her caucus dynamics. with her leadership team. And I believe that Representative Steve Berquist, who is the chair of the Human Services Committee that oversees this policy in DCYF, I believe he was kind of trying to be helpful, but also afraid of some of the fringe members of his caucus. So he didn't think he could get something out of his committee because he still has to get votes from his caucus. And guess what committee members he has? Lillian, Rep. Jamila Taylor, and so I thought he was trying to at least help, although it frustrated me at times. There's Democrats who are kind of like seeing the light and want to help, but we just need more of them. If you're listening to this, you need to keep Amy Wallen. I don't know if I agree with her on everything, but that's an honest person.
Wonderful.
You need to keep Lauren Davis. I don't agree with her on everything, but she's an honest person.
Things. I love that.
And they're willing. And what I like about them is they're willing to listen and be reasonable and do the right thing when it matters. And even if they don't vote with me all the time on things. Well, and Tina Orwell in the Senate, a Democrat from like the SeaTac area, representing the SeaTac area, she's always been an ally with us for DV and sexual assault, which me and my seatmate work on a lot. So we're always working on protecting people, right? But also the PIC Center I think she represents this area as a matter of fact, and the PIC Center is in her district, and she was trying to help. We were helping each other on that. I helped Marcus Riccelli, a Democrat, with Maddie's Place and Tim Ormsby, right? Mari Levitt is someone we can count on in this fight, right? Heck, I even got Jerry Paulette to sign on to my bill. That shocked me. But, there's a growing number of people on both sides, everyone on my side and a growing number on their side that care. And I think there's a tipping point coming.
Lord, I hope so.
But
We've
then
been praying.
If we win, we can't stop there because there's another 100 things to do. But in the meantime, I think really it's people power. The people need to use the power that they have. That silent majority needs to wake up and say, you know what? Maybe we don't agree on everything, but we agree we got to keep kids safe. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. And get drugs off our street and help us feel safe again.
Can I say something about the drug crisis in Washington? Last year, the amount of drug-related deaths, 3,000 drug-related deaths in Washington, almost 2/3 of them fentanyl-related. And just to put it into perspective, that is like, the town Lewis McCord disappearing overnight. That is like the town of Kingston near Poulsbo disappearing overnight. Yeah. This is like having a 9/11 style event happen in our state every single year, but it happens in slow motion in front of our eyes on the streets.
I just am like beating my head against the wall going, I'm not sure what we can do to get anybody to wake up. And because I think you said, we're just stepping over people and this is becoming our normal. The death culture in Washington state is our normal these days. I went down the bunny hole a little bit and I was looking at the homeless encampment in Olympia, the jungle.
Terrible. And there was a little girl that they found in there.
Yeah, and they were talking about how there's a big burn pit where they find remains of bodies.
And you got to drive to it to go to Olympia.
Yes.
And you got to drive to it to go to our capital.
Yes.
And so how any legislator can drive past that on the way to their job is insane to me.
Yep.
And the amount of human destruction that's happening there.
And just that little area.
It's soul crushing.
It is.
It's sick.
It is sick. Okay, but we can start making change county by county.
Yes.
Or city by city, right? So that is something that as citizens of whatever county we're in, we can start bringing this to the table in our cities like you've done. And I really appreciate you being here. It is late in the evening and he is giving up his family to be here with us. And I really appreciate all of our listeners. I hope we gave you some tangible tools and some that are going to be coming to make change. Not everybody can be a safe family home and take care of kids, but some of you can advocate in your local government. I mean, there's work for every single person who is ready to change the story. So
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Change the Story. If today's episode moved you, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share with friends. The more voices we unite, the stronger our call for change becomes. Until next time, let's stand together, putting our hope in the one who makes all things new, knowing that together we will change the story.